Let me preface my response with a very fundamental point. I think whatever the short-term challenges, the African countries, the leaders and the people, they should recognize the importance, the critical importance of integration in the continent. We're talking about transformation, we're talking about Africa moving forward, we're talking about Africa playing a very strong role in the global scene. All this will not be possible without the countries actually coming together. We need bigger markets in order for some of the productive activities to really take off, like particularly industrial development, but even others. And this has been the case in earlier integration episodes or initiatives, even in the other regions. So we can learn from even countries like Europe. Those challenges came up, and they're still there, but they did not deter the countries from coming together. So in the process of integration, I think both the theory and practice has established certain realities. First, yes, in the short run, if you reduce or you abolish customs charges, import taxes, that will definitely lead to revenue losses. So what has happened in other regions, including Latin America, is to come up with a compensating mechanism. And this can be in two ways. You can have a fund. This is the case even with the European Union now, as you know. You have countries, the new countries, particularly from Eastern Europe, they receive more support, than the others. And then you can also have a transition mechanism, whereby some countries may be exempted to some extent, but for a limited period of time. So it is very important to pay attention to that also, in as much as we should remind all the countries that regional integration is key. Is key to the transformation and the progress. But at the same time, the people who are managing this, the leaders, should also pay attention to those short-term costs, so that compensatory mechanisms can be put in place to address those. Otherwise, there could be serious problems down the road.
In regards to accountability, so we have most of the countries now within the AU scheme of things are accountable to that, but now the nationals are accountable to their citizens as well. Yeah. So within the bodies and how you relate to the AU, UNDP for example, what are the modalities of accountability?
I don't know what you mean, whether you're talking about the countries, but we actually discussed this like yesterday, to what extent have preparations been done? Right. Because this is a very important initiative. But your question is very pertinent. It's very important that the citizens and all the other stakeholders actually, first of all, understand the positive, implications, but also some of the short-term, costs. So ideally, actually, the leaders in the individual countries should actually have held. I'm not saying that they have not. And by no means I am being paternalistic here. I'm not second-guessing. But I would have imagined that the leaders in the countries would have had consultative processes, sensitization exercises, debates, dialogue at the level of the citizens and also the parliaments. I think that is very important. It may still not be late, but it is important that these issues are discussed with the citizens, the citizenry as well. So you have two sides to it, leaders sensitizing the citizens and say the parliament. Then they will be in a position to hold them accountable. But leaders need broad support in order to move ahead with this very important initiative. That is a very important point, George. it is true that we do still have a few countries that have not signed up yet. But before addressing this point, let me say that it is commendable that as of now, we have at least 44 countries that have signed up to the CFTA. I think that is not an insignificant number. On the other hand, it is also true that we do have a few of the big countries that are holding back, like Nigeria, South Africa. We debated this point a few days ago. They are arguing that they need time to consult with their domestic constituencies, particularly the trade unions and the industrialists. And then somebody responded that, well, by now they should have done that. Right. Yeah, but let us not second guess them. I think it's part of a process. A leader like President Kagame is very understanding. He understands also this domestic, dynamics. As you know, he can be patient. He likes action, but he can also be patient. When you have many countries that are involved in these processes, there has to be some give and take. But we are hoping that they will come to the realization that the free trade area is actually more beneficial to some of them with big industrial, bases than even the smaller ones.
Let's bring the conversation back home. Now, since UNDP cross-cuts across different regions, what's your role in all of this?
Well, the UNDP and UN systems role in all of this, first of all, derives from our support to the continent in its transformational aspirations. And we have made this point over and over, that regional integration is key to Africa's transformation because of reasons that you know. It is not only in consideration of the larger markets that would arise, but also that Africa needs to come together for it to make an impact on the global scene. So we have been supporting the African Union, the RACCs and the countries, first with respect to the analytical part of the process, shedding light on the cost and the benefits, and also helping the countries to grapple with the transitional issues, and also supporting the development of the productive sectors. Because without those, the full benefits of regional integration will not be realized. We are supporting many ways, but these are some of the key things that we are doing in support of the CFTA.